Hi, this is my supervisory Introduction to Supervision class administrative video. I'm going to talk about three major areas in this presentation. I'm going to talk about my experience with supervisors in the past, qualities that they've had that I found really valuable, that have really helped me in performing my jobs and helping me derive job satisfaction. I'm going to talk about qualities that I believe I possess that I think are important for an administrative supervisor. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about how I can integrate that into the workplace and what that would look like, and what some of the results might be if I did that. So I have a lot of experience in the work world, many years working in large corporate Fortune 500 environments. I've owned my own small businesses. I've also had entry-level and intermediate-level jobs in mental health facilities, addiction treatment facilities in the past. So I've got a lot of experience, both good and bad, with supervisors. And I really use this as an opportunity to revisit some of those and come up with a list of qualities that over the years I think really helped me develop as an employee. One of the things that jumps out at me right away with supervisors I've had in the past that have been effective has been clear expectations. I believe that that's really, really critical in any relationship, is that, and it certainly helped me work better when I was given clear guidelines, clear expectations, so I would be able to conduct myself and put forward my efforts in a way that would meet those expectations. The worst thing is having vague directions and then constantly being told, no, that's not what I said, that's not what I meant. Go back and try that again. So always clear expectations, clarity in instruction has been really helpful to me in the past. Another thing that I've always found helpful is honest feedback. That doesn't mean easy feedback, that doesn't mean positive feedback necessarily, it just means honest feedback. Tell me if what I'm doing is what you're looking for. Tell me if what I did meet your expectations. If so, great. We can celebrate that. If not, let's talk about how I can do a better job. I find that when we set our egos aside in a workplace environment, when it's not about necessarily me, quote-unquote, feeling good, but it's about me trying to get a job accomplished, trying to be part of a team, I need to know if what I'm doing is what people want and where do adjustments have to be made. When I've been given hard feedback in the past, I've really used that to do a better job, and I've always found that my relationship with the person who gave it to me, as well as my job satisfaction, always seemed to improve. I also found that having a supervisor that was willing to spend the time to work with me to acquire skills or give me the resources to acquire those skills in another way, whether it's with another employee or if it's finding some other way to get those skills, was really valuable. It's really hard to do a job when you're not given the tools, when you're not given the knowledge base, when you're not given the IT tools, whatever it might be, to get a job done. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'm not afraid to say, you know what, I'm not really sure how to do that. And in return for that honesty, what I need from a supervisor and what has been really helpful in the past is someone saying, okay, let's get you what you need so you can do the job. That really improves my motivation a lot. Another thing that I think may be counterintuitive in today's work world and probably runs against the current is I find that I do better when I have a supervisor that can help provide a reasonable, manageable level of change in the workplace. I've been in jobs where the pace of change is so rapid, and when I mean rapid, I mean on a day-to-day basis, that I've been overwhelmed by it, and I burnt out, and I wasn't successful. I feel I can handle change as well as anybody, maybe not as well as maybe some people, but I think generally I can handle change pretty well, but the change has to be at a reasonable level. When we're talking wholesale new paradigms for how to conduct business on literally a week-to-week or a month-to-month basis, that can create in me almost like some artificial schizophrenia, and I don't perform well that way. I need a certain amount of consistency, and having change introduced in a moderate pace. I don't mean a slow pace, but in a moderate, reasonable pace, then I can perform well at that level. Those supervisors that have done that are ones that stand out in my mind. I also want someone who's an advocate, someone who can advocate for me, who's willing to go to the mat for me if they feel that it's warranted. I've found it's valuable to have a collaborative and cooperative relationship. I want to be able to bounce ideas and brainstorm with a supervisor. I want to be able to get on the phone and say, well, that's not working, let's try this. Or, basically someone who we can kind of toggle between the supervisor role and almost the co-worker role, where it's a real back and forth together creating something. So that I found was important. I want a supervisor that gives me the opportunity to take risks. I've had supervisors in the past that have kind of pigeonholed me in a particular type of job, and when I've wanted to try new things, they were very resistant to that, and I got very frustrated, and consequently I got bored, and I left that job. So I'm not saying that in every instance a supervisor should say, yeah, go ahead, follow your heart, follow your dream, but I do want a supervisor that is willing to allow me to take reasonable risks so I can expand my skill and knowledge base and become more valuable to the company along with that. I really value supervisors who are open and authentic. I've worked with people that have had like a real serious work persona, and they had like very specific boundaries, and you really knew that you couldn't get to know this person in any meaningful way, and I found that was a very sterile relationship, and one that I didn't derive a lot of satisfaction from. And I derive satisfaction in my job in a whole variety of ways, and connecting with people, including my supervisor, is a big part of that. If I can't connect with somebody, if they can't let me in on a certain level, then we're probably not going to have a very long relationship. That's been my experience. Another good characteristic for supervisors is folks that have been willing to admit mistakes. If you're demanding accountability from me, I would expect that you would be willing to admit if you've made a mistake. Kind of simple as that. It's all part of being authentic. It's all part of collaboration. I think all these things work together. It's kind of a whole. And also be willing to admit when you don't know something. And the flip side of that is, I like supervisors that are competent in what they do. That they really do know basically, what time it is and what's going on and what the job's about. So, although it's perfectly fine to make mistakes, and it's perfectly fine to say when you don't know something, I'm probably not going to have a lot of respect for somebody who may be in a job where they're in over their head and they really don't know the rudimentary elements of that particular role. And I can't say that I've really worked with anyone like that, but I think if I ever did, it probably wouldn't really end up well. I need someone who's available and is open to new ideas and ways of doing things. I want to be able to As part of that collaborative element of the relationship, I want to be able to present new ideas and new ways of doing things. It's always been my experience in just about every environment I've had that the innovations, the really serious progress that's been made in new ways of doing things have been from the bottom up. It's been from the people on the front lines going to the higher ups and saying, look, we've been doing it this way, but I just discovered if I do it this way, we can save time, money, effort, do it better, get better results. And you know, I need someone who is open to that, who isn't by the book, don't rock the boat, don't introduce anything that could rock my world. You know, that kind of thing, that kind of attitude really has never worked well with me. So those are a lot of the main characteristics that I've found to be beneficial when I've been working with supervisors. A lot of those characteristics I'd like to think I possess as a supervisor myself. I've been a supervisor in a whole host of environments, including addiction treatment facilities, and I feel that I possess the things that have worked for me as a direct report. But some things really jumped out in my mind as I really examined this issue and prepared this particular talk that I want to touch on. Things that I feel I bring to the supervisor, the administrator-supervisor relationship is I really am open and authentic. Basically with me, what you see is what you get. I don't put one facade on for one person or one environment and one for another. I'm very professional when I'm in the workplace. Heck, I think I'm professional when I'm outside of the workplace. But I'm not a phony, and I don't set up these impenetrable facades that you can't pierce. We spend way too much time at work for that. I work way too closely with people who I respect to not present to them my genuine self. And I expect that from them, and they're certainly going to get it from me. And I think that that's a really important element and something that I hold very high on my list of qualities. Another is a willingness to make mistakes. I make mistakes. I make my fair share of mistakes. I am not perfect. And it took me, some years of therapy and some a journey of learning that I can be imperfect and I can make mistakes and it's okay. So I'm really willing to say and own that, and I believe that that's really valuable because that models behavior. If I am expecting accountability on the part of my direct report, I need to model that same behavior. They in turn need to see that in myself. There's nothing to be gained from denying the obvious. There's nothing to be gained from denying the not so obvious. If you make a mistake, it's okay. What do? Let's move forward. In every healthy environment, everybody up and down the chain of command did that. They all admitted their humanness and the fact, their humanity, I should say, and that mistakes are going to happen. Let's admit them. Let's acknowledge them. Let's examine them, and let's correct them, and let's move forward. I need to be congruent, and I think that goes back to openness and authenticity. My actions need to match what I say. If I say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, I actually have to do it. If I demand something from you, you need to see it from me. So congruence is a really, really important part of my skill set. Along with veracity, people need to know that I'm good for my word. If I say I'm going to do something, well, I'm either going to do it or I'm going to certainly try to do it. And if I don't do it, I'll tell you why. I'm encouraging, and I believe in a lot of positive reinforcement. This is really a critical part of any good supervisor relationship, is celebrate the victories, and what may seem like a small thing to somebody who's been doing it for years is huge to somebody that's just done it for the first time. And I make a big deal out of that. When I see an intern do a successful confrontation, you know, and really break through some really serious, unpleasant, you know, areas that they've been resistant. And we're going to celebrate that. That is a great thing. You know, that's going to be one of those events that, if they're anything like me, they'll remember for a long time, especially if they had an encouraging supervisor to move forward with that. Again, I'm open to new ideas. I encourage new ideas. I love to give people credit for new ideas. I love to announce it to the whole workplace that so-and-so did this, isn't this great? Look at this intervention they did, or look at this educational lecture they put together that's like really brought in all these different elements. Let's really, you know, let's celebrate that, you know. So I feel pretty passionate about that. And I do work closely with people to acquire new skills. I want to get in the trenches with my direct reports to help them become as good a worker, counselor, whatever it is they need to be. So really, you know, when we talk about what my experience is and what my skill set is, this is all about team building. This is all about putting together a group of people that are willing to work extra hard and even sacrifice to build something that's exciting and meaningful and can change people's lives. You know, and this is going to require effective and regular communication. You know, in my next supervisor job, whatever that might be, you know, I want to have a communication model, whether it's a weekly meeting or it's something more, you know, even, you know, more rapid than that, where I know that I'm sitting down with, for a period of time, a direct report and communicating what's going on in a very clear, thorough manner. I also want to be a mentor. I think that's really important. I think that we talk a lot about supervision, and I think we don't talk enough about mentorship. I think that more than just skills, it's important that we work and we find out what are the things that our direct reports want from a particular career experience. You know, sometimes we're in jobs for a year at most. You know, people are in and out of jobs all the time. Never really had an opportunity to have somebody sit down with them and say, what is it you want to get out of this? How can I help you get the most out of this experience? And let me help you avoid some of the political pitfalls that are lurking in this particular environment. And I don't think there's anything that can develop loyalty and esprit de corps than knowing that the person you're working for, your supervisor, is also on your side, is someone you can trust, someone who's going to kind of tell you the straight scoop and help you avoid making, you know, those kind of unforced errors that can happen in any political environment. Mentorship is really important, and I think that in any environment, I'm going to try and be a mentor to somebody and help them be the best and get the most out of experience as they can. I want to be a resourceful advocate. I want to make sure that people get what they need to do the job at a high level. You know, fight for them. I also want to be a buffer for them. I think that's really important. I think there are times when a situation may come up and I need to step in between the counselor and the client, or I need to step in between my direct report and some other entity, you know, and maybe take the heat for it while we sort things out. I think that's a big part of being a supervisor, is being a buffer at times. I need to be respectful, you know, whoever it is. We need to have an environment where there's no fear, where there's no sense of disrespect, I guess would be the best way. You know, courtesy and respect need to be the watchword, you know, in the environment that I create for my team. And I need to insist on accountability. If I'm going to be accountable, The people below me need to know that they're in a safe environment where they can admit mistakes or they can report back successes or whatever it is. But we need to be able to speak honestly to each other, so we're accountable to each other. It's a two-way street. Another thing that I think is really important is keep the ego out of it, okay? If my team is doing a good job, I don't need to toot my own horn, okay? I don't need to get the credit for that. When the people around me are getting the credit for the things they deserve, we all benefit, okay? This is not about me. This is about us doing the best job we can and my team getting the credit that it needs and that it deserves when it actually are doing the things that deserve credit. Be culturally competent. Accept and celebrate diversity, but more importantly realize that there's always going to be privilege and there's always going to be a power structure. Be open about that. Talk about it. When issues surrounding privilege and power come up, again, show veracity, show courage, show competence, show accountability. If I'm doing all the things that I need to be doing, you know, those issues can be addressed in a meaningful way where everybody feels heard and everybody feels responded to. That's my hope. Delegate. You know, I'm a big believer in delegation. If I have somebody that can do something or can learn how to do something, that's an opportunity for them. I absolutely don't need to do everything. I don't need to micromanage people, and I sure can let go of a lot of things that other people can do and give them that opportunity of expanding their horizons. So I think that's another hallmark of a good supervisor and something I'd want to put into place. I think it all boils down to being a seamless teacher, consultant, and practitioner. If I can toggle between those three roles, I know when to teach, when I know when to consult, when I know when to get into the trenches and counsel, then I'm probably going to be a fairly effective supervisor. So I hope that that kind of clarifies a lot of my thoughts on this area. It's a tough job. It's a job that really requires constant learning. This is not set in stone. If I'm really good at this, I'm going to be learning and developing more traits and skills as they become apparent. And I'm going to be looking at the product, the work product, the results of what my team is doing, and if it's good or great, that's good. If it's not, before I turn to them, I really need to look at myself and say, what as a supervisor am I not doing? What am I not providing? What is it in this work atmosphere that may be inhibiting people being successful? So, you know, the first person I need to look at is myself and what I'm doing. And if I do that, I think that everyone's going to have an opportunity to grow. I think it's going to be a healthy work environment, and I think most importantly, our clients are going to thrive in an environment like that. So those are my thoughts on administrative supervision. Thank you for watching.